All right, friends, I would invite you just to settle in where you are. Let your body become comfortable in that spot, and then allow your eyes to close, or at least cast them down and try to let some of those distractions around you go. And as you bring yourself into this physical space, let's just take a few breaths together, collectively, just to really signify this showing up, this community. So breathing in, slow and deep and steady. And breathing out. And breathing in, slow and deep. And breathing out. And one more together, breathing in. And breathing out. And then let that cadence of breath help you to find one that feels right for you. Just a slow, steady in and out breath. And I often think that perhaps the breathing part of our meditation time is the biggest gift that we get. We rush through life, we hurry, we get frustrated, we feel really big emotional responses to things, and we forget about the breath. We forget amidst the rushing and the frustration and the big emotions, we forget the power of that slow, steady, deep in and out breath. And then we show up for meditation in whatever form that looks like for us. And we're reminded of the power of the in-breath and the out-breath and the present moment in which they exist. And so as we've come together for these few minutes today, I want to begin to turn our attention to what's coming atmospherically in the next couple of days. The Spring Equinox is just a couple of days away. It's this beautiful complement to the autumn equinox where we have this day in the year that is half light and half dark. It's this perfect union of the two. It's almost like when you look up in the sky on the night of the half moon and you see this beautiful half light and half dark. But there's something bigger with this idea of the spring equinox, and I want to just use that to frame our few minutes that we have together today. The spring equinox, in this half light, half dark, 12 hours of each idea, it signifies, of course, a change of the season. The days begin to get a little longer, filled with a little more light as we head towards summer. But there's this concept that we've taken from this spring equinox, and we call it spring cleaning. My mom used to talk about it. I'm sure that yours did as well. And it was this time to go into your closet and get out all the things that you really haven't used lately, and donate things or sell things in a yard sale or whatever it looked like for your family. It was a cleaning out. It was a way to get rid of the darkness and the cold of the winter and look ahead to the light and the growth of spring. But there's something deeper in that practice for us, because the spring equinox symbolizes this time in our lives where we also spring clean. But it's not about closets or clothing or dusting things off. It is about the deepest parts of who we are. Because just like in the winter months, we accumulate things and we go through seasonal effects of things, we do the same thing in our lives. We have these seasons. We have seasons of joy and celebration. We have seasons of grief and struggle. We have seasons of growth. We have seasons of sometimes feeling kind of stuck and stagnant. But this spring equinox is our chance to really look internally and figure out what needs to go. What do I need to box up and put out in that metaphorical yard sale like many of us did as we were children? What needs to go? What is not serving our purpose and our path? Who is not serving our purpose and our path? What habit, what pattern is not serving our purpose and our path? And I sit with many folks who I've posed those kinds of questions to, and the first thing they come back with is, but I don't even know what my purpose is. I'm seeking, I'm open, but I'm not quite sure exactly what it is. I know my job, I know my roles in life, I know my titles. I just haven't quite figured out my purpose. Well, I will tell you that this idea of the spring cleaning, this checking in and letting go, it doesn't have to be aligned to this very specific purpose that we write out, that we can assign words or sentences to. But as we sit in meditation, we start to really feel aligned with ourselves. We feel this union of mind and body and spirit. And so I would propose that even if you can't give words or sentences or descriptions to your purpose, the things that need to go are the things that don't align with this harmony you are cultivating right here of your mind, your body, and your spirit. And over time, the purpose will become clearer. But through that journey, it's the alignment, the harmony, the union that serves as our guide. When you taste something that you don't like, as little kids, what we would do is we'd spit it out. As adults, we become more polite, and it may not look quite like that, but we want to spit it out. The same thing happens through this practice. Things start to come into our path, and it just doesn't taste good, and we want it to go. That's when that alignment becomes your guide. Situations come up. Conversations happen around you. Relationships continue. And some of those foster and nurture your growth, your path toward this purpose. And some of those are like those things that you've tasted and they just don't taste good. And they've got to go. That's what this spring equinox can represent. What needs to go? What habit? What pattern? What thoughts about yourself? What practices? What lack of practices? And so I'd like for us all just to sit and just not make a checklist and not judge ourselves, not evaluate the messiness of our internal closet or how full it is with stuff that we've been hanging on to. But rather, I want us to sit and just be open to the idea that as this beautiful day of half light, half dark comes on Tuesday, we are willing to let some things go. And so again, we're not going to make a list, but the way this practice works is we just sit in awareness. Things will come across our awareness and we'll pay attention to that. Things will come across our mind's eye and we'll notice what they are. And somewhere along this path, we start to understand a little more clearly what is our purpose and what is not. So let's take a few breaths together as we prepare to sit quietly, finding awareness. So just a slow, steady breath in, signifying the expansiveness of this new season, and a slow breath out, signifying the release of what needs to go. Breathing in the potentiality, the beautiful possibilities of this new season. Breathing out the stuff that's potentially going to get in the way of that. So let the breath just be your guide. And again, don't create a list. Just stay aware. We want to grow. We want to serve in whatever capacity that is for each of us. But what needs to go to make that possible? As we prepare to close our time, I want to bring some of those soul questions to the end of our time together that I hope we'll each take away from this practice and hold them close and keep asking ourselves those questions as the spring equinox comes a little closer and closer. The first question says, who am I? Who am I? At the deepest core, in the most precious part of my soul, who am I? The second question asks, what do I want? What is my heart's desire? My longing for this life? What do I want? And then that third question that follows, what's my purpose? What is my unique contribution to this world that no one else can provide in the way that I can? It doesn't have to be some big, grand event. There's a purpose that we each serve in the path that we each walk. And the more we become aligned with our mind, our body, and our spirit working together, the clearer our purpose will become. And the more quickly we'll realize which things don't taste good and they need to go. Just continue to sit with the questions in the coming days as we look ahead to this equinox and as we look ahead beyond it to the days that are filled with just a little more light. And with the light comes clarity of purpose. Namaste.